we're going to go into the woods. This video is actually about making a DIY Docapole accessory, but I thought I'd show you the reason why I'm bothering and why I need it. I did a video when we had Storm Darragh. I had a big tree come down and we thought we got away with it. However, the day after, you have to excuse this wind, the day after, I found out not so much. That's 3 of 20 that we've got down. Yeah, so we'll go in the woods, have a quick look at that, and then I'll show you how to make a cheaper pruning saw than the Docapole Gosaw. This is about 50 metres away from the first lot we found. It's hard to give you the scale of this. You can park a car under that lot. This is the worst bit. This was my favourite bit of these woods as well. There's like a little tiny open space in amongst the thick of it. Now look. So yeah, and that's our tree top. I shouldn't really be standing underneath this probably, but the only way I'm going to get that down, I think, is to trim these. This tree's dead. It's to trim them, but it's quite high up. I don't know if this really shows you the scale of it, but that's probably 20-30 feet long. However, the problem is Darragh was last year, so this is February 25 now. We can't do anything with this until this ground dries up, because what we need apparently is a big old tractor with a 10-ton winch or a 20-ton winch, can't remember which, but anyway, a winch, so we can chop them and then slide them out. But obviously this ground's still wet. It's going to chuck it down today, which is why I'm rushing this, because any minute now the clouds are going to open and that'll be the end of outside activities for today. But yeah, but let's get on. Going to have a look at a cheaper alternative to the Docapole Gosaw. Here in the UK it's about 45 quid. I think it might be even a bit more than that, but is there a cheaper alternative? Now the reason I need the pole is for things like this. That's the top of a tree floating in the air, so I need to chop that down. Also, as well as my fourth wall merch store, I've opened a couple other stores. I've got one on Amazon, Merch on Demand, and one on TeePublic. I'll leave a link in the description if you want to go and have a look at them. It's me having to go at designing t-shirts and hats and stuff. This is the Docapole, and as you can see, it's 30 foot long. So it's got these clamps. They just release the tension on there and you can slide it in and out. And the top two, you always have to fight them because they bend. But at the top, it's just got this screw fitting. I think this is fairly universal. So I've made stuff for this in the past. So this is a piece of guttering screwed to a piece of 2x2 and a handle. Now I use this to clean the snow off my solar panels. Just get up on the ridge and just push it down and off the edge. So guttering, bit of wood, some silicone just to keep it from wiggling around and perhaps bending the screws or whatever, and then I needed a screw thread to fit on that thread on the end of the Docapole. So on this, what I used is this. This is from Docapole and it's a cobweb duster, I think they call it. Just cut the handle off and that gave me the extension I needed and also the thread. Easy. What I need now is a saw attachment. I've got a pruning saw attachment, but it's the where it joins the pole. The pole's not as long, and where it joins is really sort of thin. With the great big blade I've got on it, it bends all the time, so it's going to snap. But it's not long enough for where I need to get to that big tree top that's sort of suspended in the air. The obvious answer is the Docapole Gosaw, which is their attachment, just screws into the end. But like I say, it's about 45 quid. So is there a cheaper alternative? Well, I found this. This is a Fateful pruning saw. think this was £13. I'll check that, but it's about 13 quid. It's not a lot. But the problem with this is it's designed to fit into a broom handle pole. It just goes in and then there's a hole in the handle here. You put a screw through or a bolt through and there you go. So, but it won't screw on. So I thought about using one of these, chopping this off, inserting that into the handle and then giving me my thread. But then it kind of renders this useless. And I've already killed one of these before. But what I found is these little things. You probably recognise these. These are for paint rollers. If you've got a paint roller on a pole, some of them screw in and some of them push in, and this is the adapter. But it's the perfect size to fit in the end of our pruning saw. This was £5 for 2. So you can see we're not even at 20 quid yet. It's less than half the price of the Gosaw. I suspect the blade might not be as good, but we can get new blades for this. It's the handle we're interested in. As you can see, I've already done this one, but the process is so simple I thought I'd share it. This is the adapter. This is the second one that you get with it. Now, the actual void in this handle comes down to about here, and this is tapered. So the snug fit is only at the top. So there is the potential there for it to wiggle over time. So I figured it's best to fill this up, and what I used was, this is GSL The Works Pro, and I used this in my bathroom refurb when I did the sauna to stick the shower panel to the wall. Now this stuff's really sticky, it clings to anything, but it sets quite firm. So I just filled the void up until it's squirted out the sides here, push this in, and once this is seated, get it flush, wipe it off, and then just run a 3mm drill through the handle, measuring where it is, so you try and get the sort of 3/4 up, 3mm drill all the way through. I did that while it was still wet. And the reason being is I then put a dome head screw on it, wound that through. Now that's bound up with all the glue. So as this goes off, it's going to set this screw in. This screw's never going to come undone. And just the bit that was sticking through, cut it off with a Dremel or a multi-tool, anything that you can use really. Get that flush. Leave that for 24 hours. And there you go, that's your saw. And it's as simple as that really, but it saves you 20 quid. And it takes what, 10, 15 minutes to sort out. So it's kind of a no-brainer. Now this just screws on, but it's still a handsaw if you need to use it as a handsaw. Haven't really modified it that much. I used a dome head screw so there isn't anything edges for it to catch in case it got jammed on a branch or something. Not that it would, but this is fairly smooth. It doesn't really stick on anything. Other than that, it's a nice, simple, easy one. So if you've got a Docapole, you're not really tied into their accessories. You can adapt other people's. Hopefully you found this one helpful. If you can like it, it'll help other people find it. Subscribe, help me grow the channel, and I'll see you on the next one.